Finish with the Friday night match that never was. Rangers versus Hearts, a top-of-the-table clash in the Championship, but it would turn out to be less about the football and more about snow on the pitch and heat on the street, as Brian McLaughlin reports.
Rangers board members arrived at Ibrox on Friday evening through the back door. Meanwhile, out front, around 600 fans were showing their frustration at the way the club's being run. Inside, there were doubts over whether the match should go ahead because of the bad weather. But after 2 pitch inspections, referee Bobby Madden thought it was safe enough to proceed. But after 24 minutes of slapstick, enough was enough. And no one was arguing, apart from the fans.
Robbie, was that the right decision to abandon that game?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think the referee made the decision to start the game, which was probably the right decision, because sometimes these surfaces can clear up a little bit. You know, it starts to melt when the soil heating and it clears, but it wasn't happening. You know, it's starting to pack into ice and the surface was getting worse and it becomes dangerous. And I felt, I was worried that players are going to get injured, and it's not worth the risk. And
actually, from a coach's perspective, the whole way you play the game has to be altered.
Exactly, you know, you could see even when we did start playing, we were running with the ball, it's just getting stuck under the feet and you can't pass it, you can't get any movements with the ball, so, you know, I would far rather cancel the game and come back on a decent night, a decent surface and go and play football.
If Bobby Madden gets some stick for starting this game, would you defend him?
Definitely, yeah, I think you need to try and start it. You know, everyone's here, the surface isn't great, but like I said before, it can clear. It can, I've seen it before, it can clear quickly. You know, the players can run in it and it starts to dissipate a little bit. But it didn't happen tonight, you know, it's the way the snow was. It started to pack and it became too difficult to play.
Michael, we'll talk about the protests in a moment, but first the pitch. How should that have been handled?
I mean, personally, I don't think the game should have started. You know, I think you see here before the game when Bobby Madden was knocking the ball around and giving the pitch an inspection. I was in the stadium at that time and I saw him doing it, and I thought to myself, there's no way the game was going to start, even when the guys came out to warm up as well. But I've got to say that, you know, as the game wore on, I mean, this was...
Well, normally you get volunteers sometimes to clear the pitch.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe
understand.
some of that crowd could have went on and they were there early enough.
The protesters.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they didn't, you know, even delay the game by half an hour, allow the, you know, the Hearts fans travelling through from Edinburgh to get there on time. A lot of them missed it. And I think that it didn't seem logical for me to start the game, the pitch get better, and then call it off.
But it wasn't better, though.
It did get better, Pat. You know,
slightly.
I walked down the side of the pitch after it had been called off, and I didn't think it looked terrible. I just don't think the game should have started in the beginning.
In terms of the protests, ugly scenes. What was the atmosphere like? Looked pretty poisonous.
You know, it wasn't a great atmosphere. I mean, listen, this stuff at the front door, you know, before the game seemed, you know, okay. There was, you know, obviously the fans are very, very disappointed with what's going on with the club, but right round the stadium afterwards, there was a tension in the air. There wasn't a great atmosphere, and
2 weeks to go until the Old Firm derby. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, there's, you know, listen, we don't want to get too worked up about that, but I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from this game. There was, I don't understand why the Hearts supporters were allowed out at the same time as the Rangers fans. First game of the season, they were kept back half an hour. I think that would have been the clever thing to do. And there just wasn't a good atmosphere around that place, and ultimately, you know, ended in some bad scenes afterwards.
Yeah, not what we want to see, really, Pat. Now.
No, absolutely not. And you know, obviously, we want this Rangers thing to almost clear itself up quickly and get the fans concentrating on the game. What happens on the pitch?
We'll have to stop it there. Thank you very much, Pat. Let's take a look at the Championship table. Hearts still 13 points ahead of Rangers. Hibs now 5 points behind Rangers after that win over Cowdenbeath. Queen of the South stay 4th after their 1-1 draw away to Falkirk. Raith Rovers 2-1 winners over Dumbarton. And due to snow, the match between Livingston and Alloa was off.